had Fisher German, their landlords, we've had our associates, their internet company, and lots of recruiters, and there are lots of others that have parted ways with Elbit Systems, Israel's worst weapons manufacturer. That is a massive, massive win, and we will keep doing it. On Tuesday, you can go to the Elbit factory in Shenstone. They are gradually falling apart, these factories. There's only three left, three major ones left. So please go to the table and get your tickets on the coach on Tuesday morning down to Israel's Elbit factory in Shenstone, Staffordshire. There's been many, many mobilisations around it, and Manchester are bringing a whole coach. So please join that coach and get on it. We've got no excuses. Israel's worst weapons manufacturer. Get over and book your ticket. It's on Tuesday morning. We're going down. Shut Elbit down! 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 Right, I'd like to introduce now Thomas Bell, who was part of the Salvo 3, who disrupted and damaged an Israeli weapons factory, serving Israel in Wrexham. He's just been on trial. Give him a big round of applause. He's just been through a big trial in court. Thank you.
In recent months, there has been relentless attacks on the rights of protesters on the streets and in the courtrooms. A recent Court of Appeal ruling means that what was considered the last line of defence for activists in court, the consent defence, has been reworked so that its usage is restricted for many activists. The Elbit 3, who have been on trial this week in Bolton, had all of their legal defences thrown out weeks before the trial even began. These defences should be left for the jury to decide on. It's for them to decide whether someone is guilty or not. But because of tyrants like Suella Braverman and countless others in government, the hands of courtrooms are being forced long before a trial even begins. Last week I stood trial with two other comrades as part of the Solvay 3 for occupying and dismantling the Solvay factory in Wrexham. This factory producing parts for F-35s and Hermes 450 drones being used to slaughter Palestinians. We couldn't stand our hometown being complicit in Israeli terror. On the last day of the trial, after hearing all our evidence, the judge threw out all our legal defences and we were to face the jury with nothing for them to acquit us with except for their conscience. I made the decision to represent myself on the final day and perform my own closing speech. I did this because now more than ever, as the state comes down on us with everything it's got, it's vital that we continue to take a stand and fight back against brutal injustice. We must continue to keep the pressure on the government and complicit companies because it's working. We're winning. We must refuse to let the Tory party scare us into submission. I'll now read the last part of the speech I made in court. We know now that in the eyes of the law that we have been left with no legal defence to rely on for our actions. But our actions need no defence, but we do not defend them. We hold no regrets and carry no guilt. We have only played our part in the story of peace in Wales, and there will be a happy ending to that story, like the fairy tales told to us as children. But the children of Palestine aren't as lucky. I mentioned the other day the story of the Baka children on the beach in Gaza, cousins, family, playing football and other games under a hot sun. They heard no fairy tales, only the singing of drones day in and day out until the last thing they heard were the screams of each other dying. I ask myself these questions. What line do we draw in the sand? How many links in the chain around the neck of the disenfranchised is enough for us to get to sleep at night? How complicit are we willing to be? Companies think they're above the law, but I don't believe that's right. I read a poem out at the end of my closing speech by Rafat Al-Ariya. I heard news yesterday that his daughter, who he wrote this poem for, was killed in a drone strike just like he was. So I just wanted to briefly mention her. If I Must Die by Rafat Al-Ariya. If I must die, you must live to tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings, make it white with a long tail, so that a child, somewhere in Gaza, while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting his dad who left in a blaze and bid no one farewell, not even to his flesh, not even to himself, sees the kite, my kite you made, flying up above, and thinks for a moment an angel is there, bringing back love. If I must die, let it bring hope, let it be a tale. Thank you.